Hello everyone, this is Ginger Powers. You are currently watching part 2 of chapters 36 through 38 of Break Through the Limit fanfiction narration. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, click the link in the description below, go watch that video before you watch this one. If you've already seen part 1, welcome back! Now, enjoy the video. Vegeta hung in the air, breathing heavily as smoke billowed up from the hole. Luckily, Bojack seemed to have taken most of the force of the attack, or the entire planet would have been seriously damaged, perhaps even destroyed. Careless! Vegeta reprimanded himself. If he dodged at the last second, we'd both be dead. I've got to focus. I won't throw my life away for some amateur mistake like that. Just as he was about to power down, there was a flicker in the air, and Bojack, appearing only slightly singed, appeared in the air in front of him, grabbing Vegeta's head between both hands and ramming his knee into the prince's face. Vegeta fell away, stunned, and failed to stop his fall, landing awkwardly and grunting at the impact. He pulled himself up as Bojack landed a few feet away. Is that really all you've got? Bojack asked, disappointed. I know I'm strong, but come on. You're just making this easy for me. Vegeta glared at his approaching opponent. He was grinning smugly as he contemplated his victory. Well, this is what I wanted, isn't it? Vegeta thought. I searched the universe for a challenging opponent. I can't give up now that I found one. I'll just rise to the challenge, like I always have. It's how I became a Super Saiyan. That driving desire to be the best. The greatest warrior the universe has ever seen. Whenever I found a limit to my power, I just plowed through it. The muscled form was easy, once Frieza's metal form showed me a power greater than my own was possible. And this, the mastered state, I discovered it almost by accident, staying transformed for greater and greater periods of time as endurance training. I've surpassed every barrier, risen to the ranks of legend. I can do it again! He raised his guard, reassuring himself. If this pirate can attain such ridiculous power, so can I! Vegeta roared, flaring up his aura as Bojack approached. Vegeta swung a fist, but Bojack took the punch with barely a flinch, then swung his own arm around in a lazy arc, twisting the prince's head around. Vegeta had to push with all his ki to stop his neck snapping completely in two, stumbling back with an angry cry. How? How is this possible? I am the mightiest, the most elite of the greatest warrior race this universe has ever known. I've transcended even the power of a Super Saiyan. And this freak is slapping me around like I'm a joke! He prepared to attack again, when he felt something. Like ripples through a pond. Something was spreading out through the universe. He felt a kinship with the strange force, and tried to focus on it, receiving a brief flash of a vision. A burning, golden figure. A Super Saiyan. No. This warrior was beyond a Super Saiyan. There was something more. Something great and terrible. The vision passed, but he could still feel the presence in his mind. It was too distant to tell for sure, but had it been Kakarot? Or his child? It had felt something like their energy, but comparing to what he'd felt to their power when he'd last met them was like comparing a seed to a 100-year-old oak. No! No! He roared, straightening up to face Bojack. You will not surpass me! I will not be left behind again! I will rise and claim this power. I will be the greatest once again! And I won't let this freak of nature stand in my way! Prepare yourself, Bojack! He growled. The space pirate leapt forwards, battering through Vegeta's defenses and punching him in the gut. Prepare myself, he laughed. For what? Who do you think you are? Vegeta gritted his teeth, tasting blood but remaining standing, feeling his energy build around him as he drew back his fist. I am the Prince of all Saiyans! You worm! I am death! There had been no more speeches, no more posturing. 1 second had passed, and with calm, brutal efficiency, Goku, or Kakarot, had beaten Cell half to death. He stumbled away, gasping for air, as the transformed Saiyan stood calmly. Even in the brief moments that had passed, it was clear Cell was gravely outmatched. Goku? Raditz ventured. Kakarot? What? Call me Goku if it's familiar, his brother said quietly. It makes no difference to me. What matters is what I am. What the Goku you knew could never be. I'm the part of him that lay dormant after he suffered a head injury as a child. A true, ruthless Saiyan warrior. And you. His attention turned back to Cell. You, monster, are my prey. He lowered his stance, bringing both hands around to his side. I'm not going to play with you, Cell. Prepare to die. This can't be happening! Cell howled in frustration. Every time I rise to a new level of power, I attain my perfect form. I surpass it! And these warriors keep emerging to challenge me. How do these Saiyans get so strong so quickly? Kame! A shining blue glow of energy flashed into life between Kakarot's hands. Wait! The Saiyan's eyes widened as he saw Krillin, standing between him and Cell. His eyes were tightly shut and he was trembling, obviously fearing for his life. But he flung his arms out to either side of his body, standing firm. Don't do it, Goku! Krillin! The Super Saiyan hissed. Get out of my way! I can't! Krillin wailed. Those androids, 17 and 18, they're still inside him! We might be able to save them. I can't let you kill them! I talked to 18. She's a living, thinking person. You can't kill her. And if she's anything to go by, then 17 too. Not her, Krillin. Kakarot said. It. They're machines, just like Cell. Remember what they did to Break's future? I'm not showing any mercy this time. My oldest friend, my son, they're dead because of this thing. I'm telling you, they deserve a chance, Krillin shouted. They were human once. Dr. Jerome made them out of normal people. Please, don't kill them. Krillin! Nail called from the sidelines. If they were human, they could be resurrected once Cell is gone and we get the Dragon Balls back. Just step aside. You don't want to get in Goku's way right now, trust me. Krillin nodded. Alright. Just as he was about to stand aside, Cell raised his hand, 2 fingers extended. Special Beam Cannon! He said triumphantly, letting loose a spiraling, piercing beam. Kakarot leapt forwards to intercept, appearing between Krillin and Cell and catching it between his hands. He snarled as the attack detonated, scorching his palms. Don't even think about it, Cell! But Cell was already moving, firing a barrage of special beam cannons at Break, Raditz, Nail, and Frieza. Just stopping that one looks like it hurt, Cell chuckled. Can you save them all, I wonder? Damn it! Kakarot rocketed backwards, chasing the 4 beams. Break, though still slower than either of the combatants, had enough speed and enough of a warning to dodge on her own. But that left 3, and Cell had a head start. Kakarot shoved Raditz to the ground, pushing him out of the way, and moved to intercept the attack aimed at Nail, kicking it up in the air. His leg aching from the effort, he kept moving as the final beam inched its way towards Frieza. Didn't save him just to let him die here, damn it! He only made it just in time, throwing his body between the oncoming beam and his unlikely friend. The special beam cannon crashed into Kakarot's midsection, throwing him away, trailing smoke. He landed on his hands and knees, coughing. Was that a cracked rib he felt? He couldn't tell. His vision blurred. There hadn't been time to defend himself, but luckily Cell hadn't had time to charge the attack fully, or he'd be dead. Kienzan! What? Kakarot heard Cell shout and forced himself to move. He turned to see where the attack was coming from, but saw only brilliant light, and staggered away, blinded. It's that solar Kienzan technique he used on Break! Should have known not to trust anything that comes out of that bastard's mouth! He threw himself to the left, but felt the disc scoring a deep gash on his forearm, one of his wristbands being neatly sliced open and falling away. Blood followed it, and the sharp pain caused Kakarot to fumble his landing and fall to the ground in an untidy heap. He forced himself to sit up, squinting and seeing a bright flash in the corner of his eye. He pushed himself up with his good arm, using a burst of ki to launch himself into the air and hearing the ominous hum as the solar Kienzan passed just underneath him. Cell, thinking him still blinded, appeared above him to knock him back down towards the disc. But Kakarot reached up and grabbed Cell by the shoulder, swinging him down into the path of his own attack. Cell hurriedly extinguished it, dissipating the Kienzan before cut him in half. Then, curiously, he smiled. "So, you think you've got me, don't you? I'm out of tricks. Is that it?" Something like that. Kakarot reached up to snap Cell's neck, but the perfect android vanished. "What? It's the transmission!" he realized. Too late. Cell appeared behind him and slowed from his injuries. Kakarot couldn't react in time. Cell brought both hands up and neatly broke Kakarot's good arm. Terror and pain overwhelmed him, and Goku was back. The mysterious power remained, but the cruel ruthlessness was gone. He screamed as Cell fired tiny blasts into his knees, detonating them under the skin and shattering bones in his legs. Goku dropped to the ground, beaten. Cell remained floating in the air, looking down at Earth's crushed resistance as one admiring a great work of art. Ah, exquisite. So you see, Goku, it's not always strength that decides the battle. It's intelligence. Not just that either. You see, you were claiming to be this true Saiyan warrior, but I don't buy it. You can be angry, yes, but I don't believe you ever had the potential to be a heartless killer. Blow to the head or not. You proved that by wasting all that energy saving your friends. Wasted? Raditz growled. You callous piece of... Cell warned. Watch your temper, Raditz. Your turn will come. But if you want to speed up your demise, just keep talking like that. Raditz fell silent, glowering at Cell. As I was saying, Goku, it's this compassion which you so foolishly insist on keeping even in the heat of battle that makes you weak. And this weakness has doomed your planet. Now, how to finish you off? He nodded. Yes, that's it. I believed you and your friends managed to repel this attack once. I think it would be quite fitting if it ended up killing you after all. What's he going to do? Goku wondered. He didn't have to wait long to find out. Cell raised his hands next to his head, a deep purple energy building up around them. Gallic Gun! Goku closed his eyes, waiting for the impact. I've got nothing left. This might be it. Fire! Cell unleashed a roaring energy wave, sending it straight down towards the Earth. This is the end, Goku! For you and for humanity! And another one in the bag. Really cut it close with this one. On Sunday morning, it was only half written. Anyway, that's it for now. So, question time. Actually, no, we're not doing that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to chapters 37. Stay tuned for chapter 38, the final chapter of the Cell Saga. Who will live? Who will die? Only one way to find out. Cell's Gallic Gun arced down towards Goku, the roaring purple beam seeming to almost lazily approach the ground, as if it shared Cell's arrogance, his sense that victory was assured. It's over, Goku! Cell taunted, leering at his horrified opponents. Don't try to fight it. It's just natural selection in action. I, as the superior life form, will survive, and you inferior pure biologicals will die. Goku, completely drained and shattered, shut his eyes, waiting for the end. How could I fail like this? I came so close to winning so many times. Raditz watched, terrified. I have to do something! It's my brother he's going to kill there! We've already lost so many. He trembled, realizing that, despite his urge to help out, he wasn't moving. His fear was freezing him to the spot. Oh, damn it! I won't stand and watch! What would my father do? The thought came completely out of the blue. And just like that, the trembling stopped. His face hardened. By the time he had actually made up his mind to act, unfortunately, the beam had almost hit its target. There was no time to move Goku or Cell out of the way. Only time for one instant transmission jump. Then, I know what I have to do. Goku thought of Chi-Chi, of course, as he waited to die. He realized this might be his last thought, as his mind cast back to their first meeting, back at the tournament when he'd beaten Piccolo the second time. He hadn't even realized who she was until she told him, yet they'd left the ring engaged. Placing the thought of that happier time firmly in the floor of his mind, Son Goku smiled and waited for death. He heard a flicker of familiar sound, somehow carrying over the roar of the incoming Gallic gun. Opening his eyes, he saw Raditz, silhouetted in purple light, grinning like a madman, standing over his brother, shielding him. That moment lasted just long enough to imprint itself on Goku's mind. Then, the attack hit. There was a titanic explosion, and Raditz's outline was blasted apart. The earth shook, cracks spreading out from the impact zone and spidering away around the plains. The news crew's camera completely overloaded, exploding in a surge of energy. Goku stared, wide-eyed, as the light faded. There really wasn't much left of his older brother, but he caught a telepathic message, sent directly to him in Raditz's dying moments. Goku, I trust you'll honor your promise not to bring me back, but you have to defeat Cell. You've come too far to fail. I know you will remember me as a Saiyan warrior, but please, remember me as something more. Something better. Human. Cell frowned. That fool. I should have put more power into that attack. If I'd really been trying, I'd be capable of wiping out not just this planet, but your entire solar system. Shall we try that again? Goku felt the rage, felt Kakarot, surging up through his mind, but realized something. No. I don't need you anymore. I'm angry enough myself. I hate this creature. I hate someone. That's new. His face twisted in anger. You androids. Hundreds of innocent people. Tien, Yamcha, Piccolo, Kami, Katas, even your own kind. Bulma, Gohan, now Raditz. When will you be satisfied? When you and this planet are no more, Cell replied with a laugh. When the universe is my playground. You. Goku's teeth ground together. He began to collect energy in his right arm. It was deeply slashed, but his only working limb. You. What? There is no word. No word in any language for this monster. You're not going to get away with this! Power began to crackle up and down his arm and hand. More power than he'd realized he was capable of, even in this higher form. I just won't let you! He slammed his arm down into the ground, launching a massive Kamehameha wave downwards and catapulting himself up at Cell. I am the hope of the universe. Krillin gawked. Whoa, Goku! Don't shoot that at the ground, you'll blow up the earth! Nail shook his head. No, it's more controlled than Goku's usual Kamehameha. A tight, focused beam. It'll make a deep hole, but isn't large enough to seriously affect the core. We can fix this kind of damage, if we win the battle. I am the answer to all living things that cry out for peace! Cell grinned. Yes, have your last little shot at victory. In your condition, what can you really expect to... This energy. What is this? You still have power? He gasped, too late. I am protector of the innocent. I am the light in the darkness. I am truth. Cell threw his hands in front of his body to protect himself, but its guard was smashed aside by Goku's massive ki aura, and the Super Saiyan spun in the air, extinguishing his Kamehameha and pointing the ki-charged fist of his good arm straight at Cell. It punched straight through the evil android, Goku's arm penetrating right through Cell's midsection, and out the other side, covered in green vital fluids. Ally to good! Nightmare to you, Cell! The pair fell limply, almost pathetically to the ground. Goku wrenched his arm free, ripping out chunks of Cell's flesh as he rolled away from his enemy. Cell weakly climbed to his knees, retching blood. He was already weakened, but this was almost too much. Almost. Wincing, he began to will on his regeneration. I need to end this! It's getting out of hand! Kamehameha! Goku had managed to prop himself on his broken arm, gritting his teeth at the pain, and now fired another blast from his good hand. Cell spun as quickly as he could manage, forced to leave the gaping hole in his abdomen unhealed as he caught Goku's attack in both hands, desperately trying to hold it off. You damn Saiyan! Don't you ever stop fighting! Do I have to break every bone in your body? Still, his frustration aside, it seemed that they were about equal, neither giving an inch. Goku's energy struggled with Cell's, pushing off each other and both throwing their entire being into the battle. Cell took a step forwards, pushing the blast back. Impressive, Goku, he hissed. But you're just too injured. 3 limbs down. Give up. Not while I'm breathing! Goku growled, but he could tell he was losing. Cell was half dead, but Goku was almost incapacitated. He threw everything he had into his Kamehameha, but it wasn't enough. Here at the end, he was losing. Burning Flash! Cell's eyes widened as Break's voice called out. No! He managed before a second beam, green tinged with gold, and much more volatile, crashed into him from behind, starting to melt his back. Cell lashed out an arm to the other side, trying to block one beam with each hand. No, you won't! The 2 attacks pressed in from left and right, overwhelming Cell's defenses. Goku! Break shouted. Finish it now! Yeah! They both screamed in unison, smashing right through Cell's guard and incinerating first his arms, then working inwards and pulping his body like paper in a shredder. Cell hissed his last few venomous words as he disintegrated. This cannot be! I am perfect! There was no sparing even a single cell this time. No regenerating. Energy was blasting in from all sides, crushing and obliterating even the smallest piece of the horrific creature. Finally, the 2 attacks met in the middle, the energies clashing and canceling each other out in the most massive blast wave yet. This one dwarfed all other explosions, any clash between the universe's most powerful fighters. The light from Cell's defeat could be seen from solar systems away, lighting up Earth like a beacon, and slowly fading. Goku collapsed to the ground. Chi-Chi. He managed to lock onto her mind with telepathy. It's done. I'm finally done. But I'm sorry. I'm too late. Gohan's... He's just barely holding on, Goku! Hurry! He's fading fast! He hasn't got long! His wife replied. Goku gasped, his weariness forgotten. He's alive? He said out loud. His energy must have dropped so low I couldn't sense it at all. Break! Gohan's alive, but he hasn't got long. We need to get him the medicine. You're the fastest. I've got no strength left. Hurry! Break struggled to her feet, sighing as fatigue forced her to return to her base form. Right, but where's the medicine? Cell buried it somewhere around here. It's pretty vague. How do I find it? Chi-Chi was shaking Gohan by the shoulders, trying to get his attention. Gohan! Hold on! Just a few more minutes. They're coming! His eyes rolled up into his head, glazing over. His breathing began to fade. Just as she was about to despair, there was a hiss and a pop. She looked down to see a bottle of liquid had materialized in her hand. In a frenzy, and perhaps more understanding than she realized, she started unthinkingly spooning it into Gohan's mouth. A couple of mouthfuls, and he gasped, color returning to his face. She smiled, overjoyed, and only then did she question what had just happened. Where did this come from? She wondered aloud. You're welcome, a kindly voice said, directly into her mind. Instead of panicking, she approached the situation logically. She'd experienced telepathy before. You must be King Kai? That's right.
came the reply. You guys all said you were saving the Dragon Balls on Namek for an emergency, so I figured this qualified. I contacted their elders a few minutes ago. They owe Earth 1 for saving them from the Frost Demons, and transporting the medicine to you was easy for Porunga.
Porunga? She nodded. Namek's dragon, right?
Yep. Hold on, I'll just tell the others. Give him small amounts every few hours until he recovers, alright? Oh, and you might want to take a little yourself, plus anyone who's been in contact with him since he fell ill. Can't be too careful. Well, see ya!
The cheerful voice cut off as King Kai informed the fighters of this latest turn of events. Hearing the good news, Goku smiled, letting himself power down to normal. It was a bittersweet victory. Many had been lost, but for now, he allowed himself to fall into a deep sleep. Events began to move quickly after that. With no instant transmission user available, the second wish from the Namekian dragon was used to transport the Namek child, now almost a teenager by Earth's reckoning, Dende, over from Namek. He'd taken a liking to the humans after being personally saved by them on the original planet Namek. With his healing abilities, he quickly restored the fighters to full strength. Gatherings of the Earth's defenders usually took place at Capsule Corp, but due to the planned restoration of the Dragon Balls and other important decisions about the future, it was decided that the meeting would be at what used to be Kami's Lookout in 24 hours. Alright, you're sure that you can re-energize the dragon? Goku asked. Dende nodded. Sure. Now you've fixed up the model. He indicated the miniature stone dragon on the floor in front of them. It'll be fine. I can even make it grant 3 wishes, like the one on Namek. Oh, cool! Goku smiled. But remember that Cell killed a whole lot of people, so we'll need to be able to bring back groups of people with a single wish. Right. Dende fell silent for a second, thinking this over. That'll take up some of its power, but it'll still be able to grant 2 wishes, and it won't be able to resurrect anybody more than once. Goku shrugged. That's fine. Since it's technically a different dragon now, it's like we're starting from scratch. We can even revive the people who've been brought back before by the old Shenron. It's a good thing you got to Gohan when you did, Dende said quietly, or he'd be gone for good. No wish can undo a death by natural causes, like disease. He shook his head, clearing his mind of such thoughts. Never mind. Let's just get to fixing things. You're sure? Break asked. You'll have to adopt full responsibility as Guardian of the Earth, like Kami before you. You might not see your home for a long time. Dende sighed. I know. But what would you think of me if I left your planet in this state? For now, just stand back. He mumbled a few words in the Namekian language, and an enormous bolt of lightning struck the model. The gathered Dragon Balls glowing as their old power refilled them. The sky darkened, and with a thunderous noise, Shenron burst forth, emerging and filling the sky over the lookout. You have summoned me, Shenron boomed. Speak your wishes, for I shall grant any 2 of your heart's desires. Krillin grinned. It's good to see the big guy again. Hey, guys, let's be careful exactly what we wish for. There's a lot to consider. And remember Porunga, on Namek, still has 1 wish remaining before his powers dissipated. Dende reminded them. Huh? It's been a while. You mean he's still waiting on them? Krillin asked. Dende frowned. Yeah, Mori tells me he's pretty impatient, but they asked for a day or 2 to think, given the kind of losses Earth has suffered, and the dragon has agreed to wait this once. Okay. Goku stepped ahead of the others. First things first. The actual planet itself suffered some pretty heavy damage, not least the hole I blew in it. So let's get that out of the way. Shenron! He spread his arms wide, speaking loudly and boldly. Please repair all the damage caused to the Earth during the battles of the past few weeks. Shenron's eyes flared a brighter red. Your wish has been granted. Now, speak your second wish, so that I may return to my rest. Okay. Goku looked back at the others. Pretty simple, right? Resurrect everybody Cell killed? Wait, make that Cell in the engines. Hold on. Nail shook his head. That might not work for Yamcha, as from a certain point of view he killed himself. Don't forget that Piccolo leveled an apartment block right near the beginning, when 19 and 20 showed up. Not to mention that 17 and 18 were actually killed by you, Goku. Oh, yeah. Goku tapped his forehead. How about this? We asked for Shenron to bring back everyone killed during the battles against the androids and Cell. We should say except Cell, I guess. He might count as living. I don't think 16, 19, or 20 will, though. A voice cut through their minds. You're forgetting one thing, if I might interject. Goku stared slightly upwards, his habit when talking telepathically to someone far off. Raditz? Who else? Raditz answered. Kinkai's helping me boost my telepathy so I can talk to you from the afterlife. Anyway, remember what you promised. I died an honorable death. A warrior's death. You can't bring me back so that I can just fade away. A Saiyan's life is meant to end with a bang, not a whimper. Launch? Goku turned, seeing the dark blue-haired woman already walking out ahead of the group. She was carrying the baby version of Break from this timeline. Aren't you going to ask him to come back? Goku asked. Eyes shining, but holding back tears. She shook her head. No. Raditz? Yes? I know this is how you want it, and I won't argue. She was shaking slightly, and then her whole body shuddered, and she was suddenly in her aggressive blonde personality somehow having changed without the usual sneeze trigger. Evidently, her mind was under some considerable stress. I'll raise our kid, but more than that. She switched back to shy, but her tone of voice didn't change. Her outline seemed to blur. I told you I'd get stronger. At least one half of me did, but switch. But all of me meant it. She sniffed. We'll meet again, before the end. I don't know how, but sometime in this life, I'm going to see you again. Switch. And I'll be strong enough. You'll look at me as an equal. Another world, millions of miles away. Raditz smiled, touched. Launch. I never saw you as anything less. He looked up. But if you say we'll see each other, then we will. I believe you. You bet! The personality switches became a blur, starting to become indistinguishable from each other. So go. Go have an adventure. The greatest adventure in the universe. And I'll be waiting. He laughed softly. You know how I'd say I wanted to be a Saiyan, but human? I should have listened to you more. You've got it without even trying. Just get going, you wonderful idiot. Don't drag this out. She waved a hand to the sky, and Baby Break did the same, laughing. See ya! There was a snapping sound, a loud crack, and the two blurring images settled together, forming one. Dark blue hair, run through with a streak of blonde, and projecting a new air of confidence. I will. And with that, he was gone. Goku took a deep breath. All right then. Shenron! What is your second wish? Please bring back to life all those who were killed during the battles with Cell and the androids, except Cell and Raditz. Very well. Shenron's eyes glowed for longer than before, the specifics of the wish taking several seconds to work through. Your wish has been granted. My task is done. The dragon faded. The Dragon Balls scattered to the far corners of the earth, and the sky returned to normal. Shortly, they were joined by several more figures on the lookout. Tien, Yamcha, Bulma, 17, and 18. What happened, guys? I don't remember, Bulma asked, trailing off. Well, Krillin mumbled. Cell kind of, killed you, and then Goku went completely mad. He continued to recount the story, various parts requiring retelling as Tien and Yamcha walked over and asked what had happened since they died. 17 and 18 hung at the edges, listening intently but not joining in with the conversation. They're only there at all because they needed to hear the whole story. So, now what? Nail asked. We still got the dragon on Namek hanging around, waiting for somebody to use its last wish, remember? Yamcha scratched his head, looking optimistic. Well, we've all done what we need to do, so we could wish for a giant pile of money? Or a never-ending supply of food? Goku suggested. Break coughed. This might sound a little selfish, but maybe we could use that wish to get me back to my time? Cell destroyed my time machine, after all. Don't worry about that, Bulma indicated herself. Cell said he stole your time machine, right? You're looking at the world's foremost expert in state-of-the-art technology, alien tech, future tech, you name it. A thought struck her, and she looked slightly uncertain for a second. Of course, that came from some
third timeline, so that could be a problem. But now that we know there are different timelines, I'm sure we can use your temporal signature or something, I don't know, and calibrate the machine to return you to your proper timeline. No need to use a wish for that.
Hold on a second. A voice said. Android 18, her brother 17 drifting along just behind, was approaching the group. You come from the future? Break nodded, eyes hard. The future the pair of you destroyed. Krillin keeps telling us you're different here, that you're human. But where I come from, you're heartless killers. You've destroyed most of human civilization, and killed a lot of people close to me. When I get back there, I'm going to destroy that version of you. It'll be easy, with the power I have now. 18 nodded.
I think I understand.
She sighed.
What was it like?
Break seemed surprised.
She cares?
Like a thunderbolt from a clear sky, I've been told. There was no warning. The first few weeks were the worst. He had only just been released. I guess you must have killed Dr. Giraud because we never saw any sign of him. But you were just having fun with your power. Even in this timeline, we couldn't stop you at first. But in that one, when we were unprepared, with both Goku and Raditz already dead, it was a slaughter. First, Earth's defenders. She spoke tonelessly, as if reciting from a book. Try not to bring emotion into it. You hunted them across the world, picking them off. Only Gohan survived, taking Bulma, Trunks, and me with him as he escaped. And then there was nothing between you and billions of innocents. It was the apocalypse, the end of the world, Judgment Day. Today there are probably less than 1 million humans on the planet, and that many only because you can't sense energy. You don't particularly feel like destroying the whole thing. It's not just humans though, it's a wasteland. You rarely see animals, there's hardly any green left. Do you know, Her voice started to crack. I came back to this time, and the first thing that struck me was how beautiful the planet was. I barely recognized it as the same place. The future doesn't even look like Earth anymore. Even those still alive are in constant fear of your next attack. It's not living, it's just waiting for death. 18 was biting her lip, forcing herself to listen. Even 17, normally detached and aloof, seemed horrified. Could we really do that? He whispered.
20 years?
18 muttered.
Almost 20 years of absolute freedom, wandering the earth, taking anything we wanted? Yes, we could do it. Remember how proud we were just a few days ago, when no one could match us? It wouldn't take much to change us from just arrogant into monsters.
She looked up, staring straight into Break's eyes. I want to go with you.
What?
I want to go to your time. When you've beaten those versions of us, there's going to be a lot of work to do, isn't there? Fixing the world? Break nodded.
If humanity can continue, there's a lot of damage to undo, and no Dragon Balls to magic the problem away. Well, I want to help. My strength can make a difference. I know it was a different time. It wasn't really us. But I still feel responsible. It could have been us. If it weren't for Breaks coming back here, it would have been us.
Hey, 18. Her brother looked her in the eyes. You're serious about this? This is a major commitment.
I'm sure.
She gave a slight nod towards Krillin.
I've done a lot of thinking lately. I think we were wrong about a lot of things.
In that case, count me in. You're not going anywhere without me. A nervous grin passed between the siblings. Plus, when Cell absorbed us, I came to some conclusions about what I think of Giraud's plans. Anything we can do to spit in his face, in any time, is fine by me. Break was puzzled. Could these two, the monsters she'd run from her whole life, change so much? What had Krillin said to 18? What she didn't know was that it wasn't really about what the man had said. He had done something else. He'd listened and understood.
Well, alright. I'm putting a lot of trust in you, but you seem pretty sincere. It's going to be a shock to Bulma, seeing you.
Inside, she was still hesitating. She'd watched so many die because of these two. So why hadn't she outright refused? Maybe she wanted to believe that they could change. That evil and cruelty wasn't their real nature. Because they were human, once.
And if all it took was freedom to turn them into monsters, did that mean all people were like them, deep down? Break had to believe that they were good at heart, that humanity was the race she hoped it could be. And so, she had to give them this chance, even if she raged inside every second they were still alive. Well, Krillin smiled slightly. If you really want to do it, then I might be able to make it an easier job. Hey, Dende! You still got a telepathic link with your family on Namek? Dende nodded. Yes. Have you decided on a final wish for Purunga? I have. Now, relay this wish word for word. He took a deep breath. I want all the people of Earth and Break's future to forget what androids 17 and 18 look and sound like. They have to remember them as only vague, shadowy monsters. That way, when this version of 17 and 18 try and help, they won't be feared and hated. Dende frowned. It is difficult. The Namekian language is... I think that should do it. Oh. Oh, what? Krillin asked. I don't like the sound of that. The dragon is not sure. Affecting another timeline, it might be beyond his power, but he'll try. Right. I mean, I was hoping just affecting people's perceptions would be possible. Krillin started pacing back and forth, nervously. I guess affecting that other time physically would be too much. Never thought that we'd be able to actually fix that other world from here, but maybe. Just maybe we can do something subtle like this. Especially if he can, I don't know, lock on to Break's temporal something or other since she's from that universe? Well, Dende replied, we'll see. For now, we can only wait. Bulma leaned out of the window, feeling the biting wind whip at her eyes and hair, watching the derelict time machine as it was lifted out of the dense undergrowth that had sprouted around it over the years. All right, haul it up! She shouted as the crane pulled. She could have asked one of the superhuman warriors to do the heavy lifting, and it would probably have been a lot quicker and easier. But sometimes it felt good to live in the real world once in a while, even if the real world involved salvaging a time machine. In short order, her assortment of remote-controlled vehicles had recovered the time machine and loaded it into the transport plane, where it was whisked back to Capsule Corp. Work began immediately, despite her parents' protests. I've only been back from the dead a minute, dear, Dr. Briefs muttered, shaking his head as Bulma dashed off into the hangar. I'm busy! Get off my case! She called back, skidding to a halt and looking up at the time machine. It was broken, almost a complete wreck. It was calibrated for the wrong future timeline, and it was technology 20 years ahead of her knowledge. Impossible, some might say. She grinned, snapping her goggles down. Well, the impossible takes me a little longer. Guys? Krillin called from the front room. You might want to see this. The inhabitants of Kami House traipsed in to see the martial artist pointing at the TV screen. What can I say expression on his face. A serious-looking man in military uniform, several medals and decorations adorning his chest, was speaking calmly and solemnly, staring directly into the camera. Combined armed forces of the entire world government, including a full 15 regiments of the King's Guards, a show of force unparalleled since the incident involving the Demon King Piccolo, arrived to find the field of battle utterly devastated. He was saying. The caption at the bottom of the screen read General Ripper, Commander-in-Chief, King's Guards. Previous footage had already proven both Cell and the group fighting him to be on an entirely different level to ordinary humans. With the Earth still intact, and reports are beginning to come in that the death and destruction caused are being undone by some mysterious force, we must arrive at the conclusion that the creature known as Cell has been defeated. We've had a team of scientists investigating the site since we arrived, and from the data we gathered before the damage was somehow repaired, we have estimated that combatants have power outputs in the megatons at least. I should stress that these people were unarmed, and extensive footage analysis has revealed no sign of trickery or image manipulation, as claimed by World Martial Arts Champion Hercule Satan. He paused, blinking for the first time, his expression never wavering. And now, if you are listening out there somewhere, I would like to address these warriors directly. Whoever you are, you have done the people of this planet a great service. The Earth thanks you. He stood to attention and saluted. Well, what do you know? Krillin mumbled. Some gratitude at last. The general continued speaking. And now, a request. If you are watching, I invite you,
formally, to Central City. We wish to personally congratulate you for your services, of course. But there is another thing. What I want, and what I know the people want right now, is the truth. It's said that smaller scale versions of the abilities you possess have been seen at past World Martial Arts tournaments. And this may be true, but I hope you can understand the difference between that and the kind of awesome power displayed yesterday. I only request that if such power is achievable by all of us, its secrets be made known, at least to the world government, at most to the public. We are all created equal. That is all. He stepped down from the podium as the news station returned to the studio. Krillin turned the TV on. Well, guys, what do we do? BTtL them. They turned at the voice, seeing Goku in the doorway. There's no reason to keep secrets when people's lives could be benefited by knowing what we know. Everything, though? Krillin raised an eyebrow. The Dragon Balls? Time travel? Saiyans? People might not believe all that. And Goku laughed. Well, maybe not everything, but how Ki works at least. He shrugged. I mean, he asked nicely, right? What's the worst that could happen? And that is it for the Cell Saga. Wow, that was pretty long. Saiyan Saga was 10 chapters, Namek was 9, Cold Family Saga was 5, but the Android Saga here was 13. And the chapters have gotten longer too, so that's another thing. Anyway, I'm really looking forwards to the Buu Saga, and I hope you are too, but we've got a ways to go yet. How does Tree of Might, Lord Slug plan to eradicate the Super Saiyans, the Baby Saga, Broly's The Second Coming, and Fusion Reborn sound in the meantime? And possibly Super Android 13. And maybe Dead Zone. And we might even see how Vegeta's doing. I haven't decided when we'll get back to that yet. Anyway, that is it. We are finally done with the Cell Saga. I want to thank you all so much for sticking with me throughout all these chapters. In light of completing the Cell Saga, I will be taking a week-long break from doing fanfiction narration in order to get back on track with college and also to rest my chops. These screaming and hours of reading, they're taking a bit of a toll on my voice. But I will be back 2 weeks. I will be back in 2 weeks at the beginning of the Countdown Saga. Chapters 39 and 40. I haven't decided if I'll do chapter 41 as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with the show, so that way you'll know about future plans. Anyway, that is all. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Again, follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with the show. And as always, I'll see you in the next video 2 weeks from now. Stay safe. Ginger Powers, signing off.